Hi everybody. Today's topic is advanced reasoning 2. Now when we see advanced reasoning 2, we are going to cover two concepts here. The first being arguments and the second being probably true, probably false. Now if you see arguments, we always have a debatable question given, and this debatable question will be followed by two arguments. The one beginning in yes is obviously in favor of the issue, and the other beginning in no is against the issue. We need to evaluate each argument and we need to choose for our answer in the following format. If you think only one argument follows, you will mark 1. If you think only the second one is forceful or strong, you will mark 2. If you think both 1 and 2 are forceful arguments, then in that context you will mark 3. And if you think neither 1 or 2 is forceful, then you will mark 4. So should there be a uniform civil code for all religious communities in India? Now we know that argument should always address the issue given by the question. Second, it should be rational, practical, and not emotional. It should be well presented and it should conform to the system. These are my 4 pointers which make any argument as strong or weak. So, should there be a uniform civil code for all religious communities in India? Uniform civil code means should there be a common law for all the religions in India? First says yes, because a uniform civil code will help the cause of national integration by removing disparate loyalties to law which have conflicting ideologies. Second says no, because a uniform civil code will be contrary to the secularism and freedom of religious enumerated in the Constitution of India. So now if we look at point of view, both are addressing the topic given. So that is the reason why both here seem to be strong. One talks about the cause of national integration, second talks about the cause of secularism and freedom of religion. Hence, both my arguments become strong. Second one, should there be job reservation for women? Now here we are asking whether we should have reservation for women or not. Yes, because women are the weaker sex and opportunities through reservation should be made available to them to become equal to men. Second says no, because the whole basis of reservation argument is that the entire community of women will benefit from it. This has been proved false by other kinds of reservations. So here they are saying no, we should not have reservations because a whole basis is that community of women should benefit from it. But this has been proved false, and the community that should benefit, they are not getting the benefits. First, yes, because women are the weaker sex. Can you call anyone the weaker sex? No. In this case, you're demeaning or you are somewhere not being very practical when you address the any community as weak. So it is not a well presented argument. Hence, the first one becomes a weaker argument, and the second one is strong because it uses the word proof. Any argument which is proved, any argument which is backed up by facts, or any argument which is backed up by study, expert, research, by default becomes a strong argument. So, should cloning be discouraged by governments? This is my third question. Cloning means making a replica of something. So, should cloning be discouraged by governments? The first one says yes, because research has proved that cloning animals is simply inefficient. Second says no, because human reproductive cloning has the potential to solve all infertility problems. Now it says yes, research has proved that cloning animals is simply inefficient. So when I say proof and research, I told you all it by default becomes a strong argument. Second says no, human reproductive cloning has potential to solve all infertility problems. We were talking about cloning in general, we were not talking about human reproductive cloning. So, in that context, my second one becomes incorrect. My answer is only one. Fourth is should there be a complete ban on polythene bags? First one says yes, because polythene bags cannot be recycled and cause irreparable damage to the environment if not completely banned. Second says no, because housewives love it and shoppers find it indispensable. Now, obviously, the answer to this is the first one, because they cannot be recycled and they cause irreparable damage to the environment, is why we should permanently ban plastic bags. Second one is a very irrational and emotional and a stupid argument that no, because housewives love it and shoppers find it indispensable, we cannot ban it. Very irrational, hence only one. Should India do away with capital punishment as a deterrent to violent crimes? The question itself means that should India capital punishment means death penalty. So should India stop giving death penalties against violent crimes, and deterrent means as an effect to stop violent crimes from happening. Versus yes, because expert after expert and study after study have emphasized the lack of correlation between the threat of death penalty and occurrence of violent crimes. Second says no, because if attached to violent crimes, the penalty of death exerts a positive moral influence by placing a stigma on these crimes, resulting in attitudes of disgust and horror to such acts. So they're saying no, expert after expert and study after study have said that there is no correlation between threat of death penalty and occurrence of crimes. Second says no, if we attach this to violent crimes, then it will penalty of death somewhere exerts a positive moral influence. How it places a stigma onto these crimes, which result in attitudes of disgust and horror to such acts. So yes, my answer is option number 3, both 1 and 2. First one definitely becomes strong because it is supported by experts and studies, and somewhere they have emphasized that there's no relation. Second also gives me a valid reason that if we remove that penalty, then there would be no positive moral influence, no stigma, and that is why people would then become very carefree. Hence, my answer is both 3. Should Indian Railways be privatized? So, should Indian Railways be given to the private government? I mean, not private government, but should it be taken away from the government and made private? First is yes, because successive governments have put nothing into the railways, so problems have been building up for years. Privatization will infuse the funds needed to correct years of neglect. Second says no, because the service will deteriorate and safety will be compromised for profit. When you say successive governments have put nothing into the railways, so problems have been building up. And it also says privatization will infuse funds needed to correct years of neglect. But we can't say that they have put nothing into the railways. That somewhere is incorrect. Because that is like taunting them and saying that they have not done. So, first is incorrect because of that. Second is a hypothetical statement meeting a lot of assumptions. So, no, because service will deteriorate and safety will be compromised for profits. It requires a lot of assumptions for it to be a strong argument. Hence, even second is not a strong argument. My answer is 4. Neither 1 nor 2. Is romantic love a good basis for marriage? The first one says yes, because arranged marriages are oppressive, inhuman, unfair, and immoral, and affront to personal freedom. Second says no, because in arranged marriages, nearly all couples learn to love and care for each other over time, and long term happiness and stability are given more importance than short term romantic commitments. Is romantic love a good basis for marriage? Here we are talking about love marriage versus arranged marriage. First says it seems like a emotional outburst of a person against arranged marriages. So first is totally irrational and impractical. That is ruled out. Second is strong. It has good facts, important facts, and is presented in a very rational manner. So no, because all couples learn to love and care for each other, and long-term happiness is given importance. Hence, my answer becomes option number 2. Should government-owned forest areas be preserved without modification? Now we're talking about government-owned forest areas like the Sanjay Gandhi National Park. So should they be preserved and not modified? Yes, these forests are natural resources with economic and aesthetic values. These resources are non-reproducible and must be preserved for future generation. No, because it will severely limit the means of travel and systems of agriculture for us and for the future generations. Now, obviously, these are national sources with economic and aesthetic values, and it says they are non reproducible, right? So if something is non-reproducible, we should save it for future generation. Hence, first is strong. Second, limit of means of travel and systems of agriculture can be done elsewhere as well. We need not modify only government-owned forest areas for the same. Hence, option number one is strong, second is weak. Coming on to the ninth one, should every college student be required to study history? First, yes, because this would expose them to a broad sweep of a civilization's accomplishment. No, because the student may simply not be interested in history as a subject but may have other interests. Now, the first one is definitely strong because studying history would help you to get to know about what our civilization has achieved and what have been the accomplishments. But second one somewhere says no because the student may simply not be interested in history. If a student is not interested in history, then he should have some other equal important interest. It's a very casually presented statement, hence it does not count as strong. The answer is only one. Should students have a say in determination of college policies? Yes, because students have most intimate and direct knowledge of students' affairs, and they should have a say in decisions on matters affecting them. No, because students lack the knowledge and experience to understand long-term implications of a policy. A wrong policy may prove to be damaging to the stability and reputation of the college in the long run. Now, here it just says that students should have a say. When I talk about a say, it means should students have an opinion, right? Yes, because students have most intimate and direct knowledge and they should have a say. The first one talks about opinion and hence it is correct. Second says students lack the experience and a wrong policy may prove damaging. Second one assumes that the students are going to make the policy. Hence they say a wrong policy may be damaging. So my answer is only one. I hope we are clear with arguments. Now let's move to probably true, probably false. So when I say probably true, probably false, two set of statements are given, and with two set of statements, we have two conclusions which follow. One conclusion basically which follows. You need to find out that these two statements whether they lead to the conclusion or not, and check the degree of truth and the degree of falsity. Whether it is definitely true, whether it is definitely false, whether it is probably true, probably false, or data inadequate. When we've seen the concepts, we have learned when does it become definitely true and definitely false, and in what basis. So if it is 50% or more, it becomes probably true. If it is 50% and less, I mean less than 50%, then it becomes probably false. Data inadequate is in two cases when the statements is a generalization or the statements give no logical connection between each other. So they are illogically related. Let's look at the first one. Joe is a professor in MIT. Some professors in MIT are Nobel laureates. If I say some professors in MIT are Nobel laureates, it means less than 50% are Nobel laureates because the word some. So more than 50% will not be Nobel laureates. So the conclusion says Joe is not a Nobel laureate. And since Joe is not a Nobel laureate, the chances of him not being a Nobel laureate are more than 50%. So my answer becomes probably true. Good communication skills are an important skill for a good manager. Alpesh is a good manager. Alpesh must have good communication skills. Now, it is not said that are the only skill for a good manager. It is said they are one of the important skills for a good manager. And Alpesh is a good manager. Alpesh must means compulsion. So Alpesh compulsory must have good communication skills. It has not been mentioned anywhere about Alpesh compulsorily having good communication skills. All they have said is good communication skills are an important skill for a good manager. So, taking this into consideration, there are high chances that Alpesh can have good communication skills, but not chances of him compulsorily having good communication skills. So my answer is probably true again. Skating on snow is one of the major fun activities in Switzerland during the holiday season. He is on a holiday and is in Switzerland. He may be skating on snow. Now, whenever you have a maybe kind of conclusion, which is a probable conclusion, your answer will always be definite. Because when you've already said maybe, your conclusion cannot be again a probable conclusion. So, he is in Switzerland and skating is one of the major activities, and that too during the holiday season. He is on a holiday and he is in Switzerland again. So there is higher chances, and there are obviously chances that he may be skating on snow. So my answer is definitely true. Since we had a maybe conclusion, either you could choose between DT and DF. Obviously, there are higher chances, so we've chosen DT. Most politicians are corrupt, some politicians are industrialists. Most is more than 50%. Less, some politicians are industrialists less than 50%. Some politicians are corrupt and industrialists. So, what are the chances of both being in the same category? Obviously, it's less than 50%. So, hence, some politicians are corrupt and industrialists is probably false. The reason for increasingly high employee turnover in call centers is attributed to occupational stress arising out of all night work schedule. Miss Helen, a call center employee, recently resigned from a job. Miss Helen resigned due to all night work schedule. It says increasingly high employee turnover and because of occupational stress. Miss Helen, who was a call center employee, she recently resigned from a job. So there are high chances she resigned because of all night work schedule. Hence, my answer becomes probably true. He is studying in the US. Most Indians studying in the US are postgraduates. He is a postgraduate. And this is a clear case of that both the statements have a logical gap and both the statements give no concrete information about anything. We don't know who that he is, whether that he is an Indian or not. And since we don't know whether he is an Indian or not, we cannot conclude without that data. So this is data inadequate. It's not that the sentences are wrong, but the sentences have a logical gap. So you can't choose between probably and definite. So you have to give it as data inadequate. There's a pickup facility for her to get to work. All call center employees have this facility. She is employed with a call center. Again, here there is logical gap and no concrete information given about anything. If the sentence would have said only call center employees have this facility, then it would have been definitely true. But since it says all, we need to assume that other than call centers, any other company can also give her work, or she could basically be picked up from her work. So again, there's a logical gap, no concrete information. Answer is data inadequate. Santro is one of the two cars manufactured and sold by Hyundai Motors. He owns a car manufactured by Hyundai Motors. He probably owns a Santro. Now there are one of the two cars, only two cars manufactured. And it says he probably owns. So what are the chances of him probably owning a Santro is 100%. Because it's a probable statement, your answer will be definite. So my answer is definitely true. Conditions on Earth support life. The same set of conditions existing on Earth exist on millions of planets in the Milky Way galaxy. Conclusion says life exists on at least one of the planets other than the Earth in the Milky Way galaxy. So let's see. Conditions on Earth support life, and if those conditions exist on millions of planets, then there are high chances that they exist on at least one planet. But since again there is no strong or concrete information given, we give it a 0.1% chance that it may not exist, and hence we mark it as probably true and not definitely true. 10 says lions are unique in that they are the only cats. Now we have a restrictive, strong word given that they are the only cats to live in groups. The cats found in North Africa have been found to live in groups of 4 to 6 and sometimes 30 related individuals. So obviously, if they are the only cats in live in groups, so wherever you find any cats who live in groups, they will be lions. So the cats found in North Africa are lions, 100%. So my answer is definitely true. I hope you all are clear with this concept, guys. Thank you so much.